Alright guys, I'm very bored, so I do not know what to do, so I'm just gonna do something. I see the same game twice on the thing, bro. The only games that you should make, um, oh, it's Restaurant Tycoon 3, that makes sense. It's an alpha. So that makes sense, you would have to pay, but like, why would you pay access for a game? I know I did for one, but I never played it again. The game was mid, I will say. Here, I'm just gonna play some YouTube shenanigans. I do not have anything else better to do. Oh wait, hold on. I want to play my Acvid server. My bad. Computer, stop whining. Good computer. I'm genuinely so bored. I actually don't know what to do. Oh yeah, it was a goofy backwards map I made. That's way too laggy. In fact, I'm not even gonna do that. I'm just gonna load my slot one. Don't worry guys, it will actually process it. My GPU fans better be spinning. Right. No, why'd I do that? I wanted to select that. Can I mix? Wait, can I mix something with a wedge? Hold on, wait. Let me set my size to 15. Just play the video. Alright. Ball. Let's make it, oh, that looks weird. Still a Mets though, so I'm not complaining. This is black and this Mets light. Okay, okay, I can't say that. My bad, guys. I'm gonna make a jujitsu shenanigans ball. It's a jujitsu shenanigans ball. This is peak content. Where's the... Alright, chat, what do you think of my map so far? It's very jujitsu shenanigan. It's making it so much worse. Let me copy this. I don't even know why I went live. Well, I wasn't trying to record.
Difference between DreamWorks and Disney. Guys, I think I finally figured out the difference between DreamWorks and Disney. So if you watch my last video, you know that blood is usually scarce in animated movies. Hell, you might even be asking yourself, there's blood in these movies? Yeah. However, Disney and DreamWorks feature it a little bit differently. Even though they both feature blood, the way they handle their depiction of it is very different. So I went through a bunch of Disney and
Get up,
DreamWorks
boy.
movies and compared the two. As I watched the films, I wrote down some notes. Anytime blood appeared on the screen, I noticed a pattern with DreamWorks. They tend to actually animate the movement of blood, while Disney tends to keep it tame using scratches. Take for instance the DreamWorks movie, The Road to El Dorado.
Do you know why the gods demand blood? Well, I don't know.
Dang.
Because
Hold on.
Well, I don't know. Because gods don't bleed.
Why do I feel like the animators at DreamWorks have no restrictions and they can show us as much blood as they want? Notice how they didn't do a time skip and show us a static image, that being a slice on the palm. Seriously, compare that to a Disney movie called Encanto. I love this movie, by the way. But even here, we don't see that crazy drip. And I'm not talking about clothing, I'm talking about the blood being animated. Are you starting to see the difference that I noticed? Is DreamWorks a company that just has less safety nets, metaphorically speaking? It seems that the writers and animators have more wiggle room to express their vision onto the big screen. Take for instance another movie from DreamWorks. It comes from the Madagascar franchise. There's blood in this movie.
Alligator, Daddy got you, hold on!
Kablamo.
Did he seriously just blow a piece of his ear off? Guys, what? There's no way modern Disney would ever show that happening, let alone show actual mutilation. Usually in Disney movies, we see the characters die off screen with narration verbally telling the audience what's happening. But in DreamWorks, they aren't afraid to show it. Even when they display brutality, they still masterfully show it in a safe way that's not too gruesome, but communicates what needs to be communicated. The scene flows naturally, even with the cut. Now, on to one of my favorite movies this year, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Death has instilled a sense of fear into Putt. His blade actually makes contact with him. This scene was so well animated. They even created an entire simulation just to get the blood dripping right. Coming from a 3D enthusiast myself, I am shocked at the attention to detail. The whole damn movie is filled with easy things to miss, such as the reflection, indicating fear. The animators didn't need to include this, and you know it, but they did. A lot of people don't talk about these intricate details, but I always love pointing these things out for you guys. I also love that the wound doesn't just heal instantly. I'm not joking, if you zoom into Puss throughout the movie, you can see the scar, my guys and gals. DreamWorks was not playing when they released this movie, and I love it. The main character almost got killed. Now, unfortunately, some people may think that DreamWorks has toned down the potential blood being shown in some of their films. Let's take a look at that. In the How to Train Your Dragon movies, you would expect to see a lot of blood, correct? But these films don't have as much blood as you'd assume. I think people need to realize that sometimes the writer or company wants their film to hit a certain demographic and stamp a certain rating. With each new addition of blood or cursing, the ratings of the movie is gonna bump up. That's why Pennywise is rated R for violence, horror, bloody images, language, you name it. This is no one's fault. In fact, this ain't even a problem. I don't think DreamWorks is doing anything wrong. If the head wants the film to hit a certain group, what's the big deal? This company has already proven they can do whatever they want. Have you seen Prince of Egypt? That movie is filled with blood, literally. Also, the DreamWorks movies, while they deal with dragons and crazy beasts, it doesn't necessarily need a bunch of blood to be shown visually for the movie to be good. However, that being said, there still is blood in How to Train Your Dragon. So let's move on. There is an instance where the lovable Shrek gets injured by an arrow.
The princess here was just... Oh! Hey, what's that? Is that blood?
I seriously have no idea why there's zero blood on that arrow, man. Also, I got a question. What color does Shrek bleed? Green or red? Now, what's interesting to me is that the donkey clearly faints from the blood, but we don't actually see any fluid on the arrow. And you know what? I don't care. I'm not gonna throw a fit. Like we just talked about, there must be some kind of rating issue going on here. Censorship. That's probably intentional. This movie was obviously iconic. Unfortunately, I never finished this movie as a kid. I had to rewatch it when I got older, but still really good. You know, I really wish I got into DreamWorks more as a kid. For those of you who don't know, I am a Disney boy, meaning Disney was the only thing that was shown to me in the area that I lived in. You know, a commenter left on my other video that they were shocked that the first CGI movie I ever saw was Tangled. They said, that's so weird. Well, geez, dude, I'm sorry, but I had no control what my high school teacher put in front of the class. My teacher literally gave the class two options. We could pick between two movies we'd never seen before. One was Mulan, the other was Tangled. Are you seeing what's going on here? Those are both Disney movies. I don't even think I heard the word DreamWorks till I was 16, 17. Anyways, my class screamed for Tangled. And look, I like that movie. I love the animation. I loved everything about it. But part of me does wish that people took DreamWorks a little bit more seriously. However, we gotta give Disney props for at least including blood in Tangled, cause holy heck, do I not remember Flynn being stabbed and bleeding to death? My goodness. But aside from all of that, let's go on to another movie from DreamWorks, Kung Fu Panda. Now this one, big on screen, shit. Everyone has their own personal taste. But what I've noticed is that Disney has a lot of rules, and I mean a lot. I feel like writers can't write as much as they'd like to freely, and their stories are more limited. And I'm not even talking about blood anymore, guys. I just mean the direction of Disney stories. It seems that DreamWorks tends to think more outside of the box. They're not really afraid to experiment with new, different, wacky, weird, or just controversial ideas way before it's time. Take a look at Megamind.
Come on, guys. Hey, Dad. I'm good.
How was your day?
Good. Yep.
How was testing?
It was okay.
Did test well today?
We still did reading, but this time it was, I don't know, I forgot. No. What? Oh. Oh yeah, it was about how some people sailed the ocean the original way.
What was the original way?
Just knowing your gut pretty much, like tasting the water to see how salty it was.
What? Did they really?
I don't know, that's what it said.
I've never heard of that. Alright. Was it difficult or no?
It wasn't that difficult.
So what do? They ask you questions or you have to write essay answers or what?
We had to write an essay at the end.
Okay. Did you get done?
Yeah.
Alright. Is that the last day? You gotta do it again tomorrow.
I gotta do it again tomorrow.
Is that the last one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see it. Alright. How did pictures go?
Oh, I didn't get it. Mom didn't sign up.
Oh, okay. Alright. And then what, you went to practice at school?
Yeah.
On the text you sent me, was it a good practice or just regular?
It was a regular practice. I think we were short a couple of people though. Cause we didn't do many drills. We only did like 3, I think.
How's the medication?
Good. It was.
Well, alright. What have you been doing since then?
Just watching videos. I took a shower not too long ago.
Did you pick up the soap?
Yeah.
Are you going to?
Nope.
Alright. Did you play with the go-go?
Excuse me?
Did you play with the go-go?
Yeah, I fed her.
Alright. Good, good. Everybody said you have to, get yourself after the bus stop this morning or mom hang out?
I I got a call from my dad. He's out traveling right now. Oh god. Y'all can hear the entire conversation. Well, that's gonna be awkward. Yeah.
Sure, Megamind wasn't as popular as Frozen when it first came out, but I'm telling you, this movie was spectacular. The story of Megamind was incredibly unique, and I don't think we're gonna see a movie like this for a long time. But this literally proves what I've been trying to tell you guys. Disney movies are great, but sometimes it feels like the movies are stuck in a box and formulaic. DreamWorks, it seems like sometimes the writers genuinely just get out of that box. Even though it could be a disaster, even though the movie could flop, they just take a chance, and I think that's actually beautiful. Think about it. Do you think that creativity is subjected to a frickin' box? No, it's when you tell a story that is uncomfortable. I mean, look at Titan. Titan's whole story, Hal, Megamind. This is an uncomfortable story, yet it worked so well. Anyways, let's transition back to the blood. Disney tends to show characters bleeding after the fact, usually. Believe it or not, back in the day, Disney also used to rival DreamWorks with showing the blood in the moment. Look at Tarzan, even The Lion King, but they kind of toned it down as the years went on. Now, DreamWorks tends to show everything every step of the way while it's happening. They aren't afraid to show kids what will happen to you if that skin gets broken. Yeah, blood is a natural thing, helicopter parents. I need you guys to get this through your skull. Of course, I don't mean this to glorify gore in any way, but we all have to realize that this is a part of life. Anime has a bunch of blood. Even Dragon Ball Z. Really quickly, I want you to do two simple things after you finish this video. I want you to click the link in the description, and this will take you to a Dragon Ball Z animation I worked on for over 2 years. It's Goku vs Naruto cartoon rap battles. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts on today's video.
I'm bored. I'm just watching videos at this point. Okay. Yeah. What? Huh?
Gays in animated movies. LGBT characters are no strangers to film. I decided to do some research on how many gay characters actually exist
A
in
lot.
Disney and DreamWorks films.
I
Is
think
there any
DreamWorks
difference?
is
Yeah,
really
there is a
gay.
big difference, and you'll see soon why. The first entry comes from the Pixar Lightyear
Too
film
gay.
from 2022. 20 minutes into the
That's
movie,
too gay,
Buzz's friend
for sure.
appears to have a wife. The two ladies kiss on the lips for about 1.2 seconds, confirming they are not straight.
Dang, they
When
just
this
went
kiss
into
happened, it
detail.
caused a lot of controversy at the time. However, aside from the conflict, this proves that there was at least 2 lesbian women in a Pixar film. And we've only just started the list. I found so many instances of blood in Pixar and Disney movies that it's actually kind of alarming. For those of you who are unaware, I've been on a journey to find as much blood as I can in animated movies. On my path, I realized that DreamWorks and Disney feature blood completely differently. However, in today's video, I want to focus solely on Pixar instead of Disney. I want to figure out how Pixar movies handle blood. Do they handle blood as good as DreamWorks? You and
No.
I are going to get to the bottom of this thing together. Okay, so the first one I got for you comes from the movie Up.
Oh yeah, up has blood.
We see a dog make a huge leap and bites down viciously on a character. Now I know it's been a while since you've seen this movie, but let me ask you this. Do you think that Up has blood in it? You got 2 seconds
Yes,
to think about that answer.
it
And your
does.
2 seconds are up.
Oh.
Would you believe me if I told you that this wasn't even the first time that blood was shown in this movie? If anyone were to walk away from a dog bite without so much as a scratch, it would make the scene just feel silly. I like how Pixar doesn't try to glorify blood. They made a scene that was already tense to begin with, now become even realer. I actually remember watching this movie in high school, and not only do I not remember there being blood in this movie or scene, but I also remember no one in the class having an uproar about seeing blood, which clearly proves that blood is not as shocking to children as big corporations think it is. Of course, done in moderation, that is. We're not getting into that Elsagate thing, okay? Anyways, another cool instance of blood comes from the movie Megamind. We see that the main character, Hal, is seen to be bleeding from his nose. While this is a minor instance of blood, it still counts. What's even more hilarious about this scene is that even after Hal was granted godlike powers, he's still apparently bleeding from his nose. I guess all the supernatural abilities in the world can't fix a simple nosebleed. Let's go ahead and go back to Pixar. Finding Nemo.
Oh yeah, that.
Oh,
Are you okay?
Ow, ow,
I'm so
ow.
sorry.
Hey, you really clocked me there. You know I'm bleeding?
Oh.
Ow, ow, ow.
Dory, are you okay? Oh.
Hey.
I love how beautiful the blood was simulated here. I wonder if Pixar was using the RenderMan software at this point in time, because this looks stunning for the year that this movie came out. The blood flows through the ocean so fluidly. The funny part about this scene was that the sharks in this movie were actually trying their best not to eat fish. However, just a whiff of Dory's blood causes Bruce to go insane. Poor guy. Now I got another shocking instance of blood in Pixar, and this was the moment that I realized that Pixar was not playing back in the day. They were rivaling DreamWorks. Take a look.
Oh. Oh.
Even with superpowers, Mr. Incredible is not immune to bleeding, just like the rest of us. In fact, scenes like this made me realize that anyone could die in this movie. I sure do miss the old Pixar movies. Throughout the scenes, he has a large open wound, huge gash. That attack went straight through his suit. It's very obvious he's not wearing armor, so this is expected. Anyways, let's move on to another Pixar movie called The Good Dinosaur. Now this is where I have to actually give a warning because even I thought this was too gruesome.
What in the...
This was the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in a kid's animated movie. Especially coming out of Pixar? Are you serious? They made this? All the crap that people were talking about The Good Dinosaur when it came out made me realize I should probably form my own opinion instead of boycotting a movie based on opinions when I haven't watched it. Now, I'm not saying this was a perfect movie. I'm just saying it was not as boring as people were saying because that scene alone bypasses a lot of movies in terms of graphic imagery. Also, if you freeze the frame, you can see a dark red substance, which I'm assuming to be dried blood. If I am wrong on this and that's not blood, it might just be the texture, but still, the flesh was completely destroyed. Before I started doing my research, I really thought that Pixar would go down the Disney route with only having tame scratches, but no. Everything on this list I've shown you up until now is telling me a different story. Now enough of Pixar for now, let's get back to that DreamWorks. Let's take a look at the Ice Age, Adventures of Buck Wild. In a movie filled with dinosaurs, one would assume there would be a ton of blood, correct? Absolutely not. In this shot where we're seeing a dinosaur literally grabbing people with its sharp teeth, we don't see nothing. However, this is not necessarily a bad thing. There's absolutely no reason for them to animate blood in a scene like this. Are you guys crazy? Also, you gotta remember that this dinosaur is the guardian of its children. However, if you're disappointed that you didn't see blood in the Ice Age, well, there is some instances of blood. I just haven't shown it yet. Anyways, check this out. This is dried blood. The tissue within a scar possesses networks of small capillaries, and thus it means that it is supplied with blood. At least that's what Google told me. So this counts. That is a huge gash of red, dried up blood. Not impressed? Well, let me show you an instance of fresh blood instead.
I don't want you to touch it!
Ah!
When I told you that Up has a bunch of injuries throughout the film, I was not joking. Here we see another example. The man was just bashed in his head violently. He could bleed on the pavement. and our main protagonist savagely walks away and slams his door. You know, going back to that hit on the head, the construction worker actually made it worse when he touched his wound and rubbed it all over his head. Like, dude, why'd you do that? He spread the blood all over and possibly could have even infected himself.
He did.
You know what? I think that Pixar handled blood pretty well in this film. It's just as good as DreamWorks. Remember, we saw instances of blood even in The Road to El Dorado, where it was literally relevant to the plot of the actual movie. See, like I said before, they're not just trying to shock us on purpose. There is a reason why they animate blood in some scenes and not in others. Now, I know you've been patient with me up until now. You really want to see if there's blood in the movie Inside Out. For this one, I'll let you be the judge of that. Now, it's very difficult to see this, but when Joy hops over the fries and lands on her hand, she actually scrapes her finger. It causes a slit and cut, which begins bleeding. She then savagely licks her wound to get the blood off her fingers. I understand this may be pretty unbelievable and hard to understand, but my source of reference for this is the past. I realized that Disney movie blood because the fact out. I think that Joy landed on her fingers and it got cut, so she savaged are the finger out. Well, instead, I wonder what's in the next movie. We've seen that Disney does not shy away from blood. Remember Mulan? She almost died in the movie. She was bleeding badly and losing consciousness. So in the future, we might see some blood return. Also, that scene from Princess and the Frog I showed you earlier, where the prince's blood is literally used for voodoo purposes. It looks like a tiny wound, but I know some people out there can't handle that stuff, and that's...
I'm gonna see if I can add something. Add. What is... Oh, I don't know what that one is. Wait, so... Let me just put like a random download in here. I don't think my media search worked, guys. I'm ending stream. Bye, guys. I'm gonna go do something else. No one's watching. Bye, guys. I'm gonna go. Bye, bye, bye.